to get them right as well. Is it or the
or
nothing? That's very, very difficult, and it's really, really difficult to explain. I hate it when people say, why is it the and not articles and particles, very, very difficult.
Difficult. So, such as president usually don't have.
Unless you're talking about the President of the United States.
No article.
God, no article.
No article. God.
Yeah, that to explain that is almost impossible. It's one of those things you kind of have to just get used to.
You learn the origin of English language in your expertise or in your major?
No, just out of interest.
Out of interest.
I'm not by no means an expert, but I when I first started teaching English, I thought, well, why is English like it is? So I started reading up a little bit about the origins of the language. But I've forgotten most of it, frankly. That was 25 years ago. I started reading that, and I've forgotten. So. But this is basically true. And as you said, it's invasions.
Invasion, yeah.
As Britain has been invaded several times, the language has changed completely over the centuries. So. That's why Japan and Japanese is pretty pure because it's never been invaded.
Yeah, we are kind of monolithic or homogeneous. Monolithic.
Much more. But as I was saying before about the spelling, British basically British English spelling is terrible for this reason because it's just a mixture of different languages.
Do you think English language is low context language or high context language like Japanese? So, I mean, low context achievement of communication, responsibility of achievement of communication hinges on the speaker. That's English, but Japanese the responsibility of achievement of communication hinges on listeners.
Yes, I think your point is correct in every way. That's why it's difficult for me to come to Japan and understand what people are trying to say. Now I'm used to it, but at first people were being very vague and not being direct, and I found it extremely difficult to understand what they were getting at. That for most, especially non-Asian, I guess, foreigners, is really hard to get hold of. And the older generation seems to be much worse at it. Especially my mother-in-law is 75. 75. Wow. And she will come into the house and go, Andy, are wa doko ni arimasu ka? I'm like, are wa nan desu ka? She knows what she's trying to say. Probably other Japanese people know what she's trying to say. It drives me crazy, frankly. She never says what she's talking about. I don't understand. And then she gets angry because I don't understand her.
So English is more straightforward language, in my opinion, and Japanese tend to use more euphemistic expressions.
Yes.
Sometimes be kind of beating around the bush.
But there again, in Britain we use a lot of slang.
Slang.
And Japanese doesn't seem to have so much slang.
Do you use slang as a buffer or some kind of show closeness?
Yes, the more close you are to somebody, the more slang you probably use. Well, what we say in Britain is that you know that you're good friends with a British person when they start being rude to you.
Rude.
Scrupulously polite to strangers and people that we don't like. But as soon as we know you and we like you, we can relax and kind of be ruder to you. So you know that you're friends with British person when they're being rude. Not all the time, but you know that's basically the way it works.
How do we judge the unscrupulously polite? They're trying to be rude to others.
How do you judge?
Intonation?
Experience.
Experience.
Well, there's a very famous point here. In the Houses of Parliament.
Houses of Parliament. Okay.
When the politicians are having a debate.
Yeah.
They will often start their reply by saying this. Or possibly this. With all due respect. Or with the greatest respect. Which means so this is one thing that, for example, Americans find extremely difficult to understand. They don't understand that being very polite, super polite, is rude.
So in Japanese diet, 南南先生のおっしゃることはごもっともだと思いますが、さっちゃんさん。
Exactly. I mean, what you're actually saying is, what are you talking about, you idiot? But you say it in a very super polite way. That's one thing definitely true. In British English especially, super politeness is a way of being rude. It's sarcastically polite. And as I was saying last week, the British people love sarcasm.
So they don't use the swear words, curse words like American? You go to hell, Mr. A.
Oh, no, they do.
Do?
Not in Parliament.
Parliament.
Not in Parliament, no. They're very rarely. You would not hear that in Parliament because the Speaker would stop it. So you can't talk like that in Parliament. So they would probably actually be sent out of Parliament if they swore in Parliament. But Churchill, Winston Churchill was extremely gifted at putting somebody down by being extremely polite and using very, very nice English to them. And you may have heard this one. This is Winston Churchill.
He's a Sir Winston Churchill.
Yeah. This is
terminology.
I'm spelling a terminological inexactitude.
Terminological exactitude.
What he's actually saying is you're a liar. That's what it means. But I think the gentleman has employed a terminological inexactitude. That was one of Winston Churchill's famous ones. Well, what it means, terminological inexactitude means he has used the wrong words. That's what it simply put.
Intentionally use the wrong words.
Yeah.
Effectively.
To lie.
To lie. Exactitude. Difficult.
Well, this is not normal language. Very, 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 very uncommon language. You would never say that in normal conversation. But Winston Churchill was famous for some of the stuff that his quotes. Very, very, very good. Put downs.
Put down. So speech is golden, not silver.
Silence
is still gold.
Speech is silver and silence is gold.
Golden. Speech is silver.
And there's another saying, it's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and confirm it.
Philosophical proverbial.
Yeah, well, it's deep thought there. Well, let's go back to this article then.
Okay. Actually, we don't have to read. English and yeah. Au fait, being an au fait.
Au fait.
Au fait.
It's French.
Au fait. Well versed.
Up to speed.
Normal
language.
Au fait is an au fait is French.
Yeah.
Per se
would be it's Latin.
Latin. Oh, really? Oh,
Per se.
Latin. Entrepreneur. How about entrepreneur?
That's French.
French. Example, but famous for language. So you have your own loan words. Japanese people are good at adopting or using